Well, what's going on, guys? This is Carl at the Racerred channel. Got my step ramp in there, safe and sound. My Toyota Tundra is working great. I'm all about Toyota now. And got the old KTM 450. It's got some leaves in it from last time I went out. I haven't been on this trail in a while. Most of it is pretty fast and flowy. It's pretty smooth. Lots of really cool wildflowers around here, as you can see. It is hot down in the valley, so up here it's a nice little change. It's still hot, but not as hot. This is one of those trails that you gotta keep an eye out for all kinds of users. Could be hikers up here, people on horseback. I'm not sure if horses are allowed, actually. It might just be hikers. However, there were no other cars at the trailhead. That's a pretty good sign that you're fairly safe. And generally speaking, the hikers are usually at the beginning of the trail as well. After the beginning of the trail, you really don't need to worry as much. First couple miles, I would say. But the good old 450 is a really good bike for trails like this one. I actually like trail riding this bike. It's got a 13-tooth countershaft sprocket on it right now, and that is not the countershaft that I like to use for trail riding. I use a 12-tooth for trail riding. However, I can still manage trails like this one. If I get into the technical stuff, that's when the 12-tooth really helps. Because honestly, first gear is pretty tall. And this gearing is more what I'll run like in a cross-country race scenario where there's varying terrain. I'm able to climb through the rocks with it pretty okay, but the mountain single track can get pretty gnarly, and when you have tall gearing, it can really make things difficult. I love it once it gets back into the shaded areas, you get deep into the trees. I'm using Onyx off-road maps, like always. So when things get deeper into the woods, I'll still be able to find myself around, be able to get to the areas that I want to get to. I ordered a new set of reeds for my Husqvarna TE250, and so I hope that's all it needs, is just new reeds. I'm gonna install those. I don't know, a lot of the issues are pointing towards bad reeds, so I haven't even inspected them. I want to just have the reeds handy so that when I do pull it apart, probably tomorrow, unless I decide to hobo it up and sleep in my truck out here, ride some more trails. Like, that's fairly steep, fairly tight switchback on the old 450, and it can do it as long as you're feathering the clutch. If you're not feathering the clutch, it'll flame right out. This this bike is the king of flameout. It's a 2017 KTM 450 XCF, and it is a fantastic motorcycle. However, it makes too much horsepower, according to KTM, because the following years they actually reduced the horsepower to make it more rider friendly. They put the power elsewhere in the power curve, made it easier to ride. The 2017 model is a fire breather. I really like the power curve. I guess I've gotten used to it. I think it feels pretty good, just overall. But that said, I really wouldn't recommend this bike if you are looking for a good trail ride bike. This is not the one. I get asked almost every video, if I don't mention what bike I'm riding, I get asked what I'm riding. And I always put the caveat that I don't recommend this bike for this for this style of riding. It's not what I would recommend at all. It's a great motorcycle, don't get me wrong. It makes this kind of terrain way harder than it needs to be. I've actually got cushion grips on it because I was planning to just ride this bike in the desert. I wanted to go easier on the hands, reduce fatigue. I don't recommend it. I think a smaller diameter grip is the way to go. These ones, I have actually lost my grip a few times since I've installed these. I never lose my grip with standard style. If you've got gigantic hands or something, these grips probably work just fine. A lot of people are anti 450 in the woods anyways, just because wear and tear on the trail. If you listen to my engine, this is pretty much how you should be riding any bike in the woods. You're just taking as much power as you need with the clutch. I'm not wearing down the trail any more than I would on a two-stroke. If you have to rev your engine up, there's probably a lot of wheel spin going on, and you probably are messing up the trail a little bit, especially in certain areas of the trail. But like I always say, I always view things as damaging the trail. Like, I only see it as damage for the end user. I only see it as damage for the next rider. I don't want to mess things up for riders. But in the grand scheme of things, this forest can't be really damaged by us. This little trail is absolutely nothing. Look at the chaos to my left and to my right. All of the material getting moved down the mountain. This trail is absolutely nothing compared to all that. And the noise I'm making is fairly minimal. The wildlife are very adaptable. They are really, really strong and adaptable. They have to be in order to survive. The thought that I'm hurting anything with noise pollution is another ridiculous thought. When I stop anywhere on the trail. It usually takes a little bit, like animals are watching me. You can kind of feel that for the first, I don't know, 20 seconds or 30 seconds. You just feel everything watching you. After that time is up, everything starts making noise again. All the animals start moving around you. It's not like they're fleeing these trees because I'm going by. So, keep in mind, humans are a natural part of the environment, just like everything else. And we are natural even on our machines. Also, with regulations, it's important to remember that regulation isn't just happening on those of us that ride. It's also happening to the hikers and to the mountain bikers too. In terms of wear and tear, a mountain bike does the same thing. Mountain bikes typically use trails that were originally created by dirt bikes. In fact, in Boise, Idaho, every once in a while you'll get a story told by an old timer, which I would love to interview one of you guys, given the chance to. I want to hear the history of Boise and motorcycles, because in downtown Boise you'd have motorcycles climbing the foothills, and generally that's how almost all of the foothill trails got created, was by those motorcycles just having fun in the 70s and 60s. And nowadays motorcycles are not allowed in there. And typically that's how it goes. I mean, you've got dirt bikes creating trails and other users complaining about motorcycles eventually, typically because of the dust or noise, and then motorcycles are kicked out. But the trail wouldn't have even existed without the motorcycle. There are a lot of reasons why a motorcycle is the trail maintainer. One of them is a motorcycle is easiest to take maintenance tools in to the trails on. So, like right now, I'm carrying a handsaw in my backpack, a really big one, so I can take care of smaller trees. I have a chainsaw at home that'll mount on one of the bikes, but then there's also other tools that we can fix trails with. And a lot of trail riders carry all kinds of tools like these in order to preserve the trail and keep it going. But as you can see, there's literally there is no wear on this trail from water or anything like that. There's no water damage. I think a lot of people get confused when it comes to that stuff. Typically, water damage happens next to the streams. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it only happens in very specific areas, because the mountains are typically just really rocky underneath. It's not really conducive to taking damage in any way. And if damage does happen, it's generally a gigantic rock slide or something like that. But this trail is just one of the gems. It's one of the gems. It's really, really nice. Really a beautiful area. This one is pretty popular with the locals, so sometimes it does get a little bit rutted out and a little bit choppy in some areas. I don't know, that trail just went down. Oh, it's an alternate route for that high line that was slightly difficult, I guess. I saw a plume of dust there. Maybe I caught whatever that was on camera, but I was concentrating on the trail, so I didn't see it. What a beauty this is. If I remember right, there's a couple meadows that you drop down into, and there are some structures. If I'm remembering that right. It has been maybe 4 years since I've been on this trail. During all my trail rides, I'm just riding along. I'm not trying to go fast or anything, unless there's reason to. Some nice scenery off to my right here. A little overlook. I don't know which line was the trail there. I think I went on the trail. The other one was trying to go around, it seemed like. I don't know why. These sections aren't too bad. What a beauty. What a beauty. My favorite thing about Idaho's trails is that normally the rocks stay put. That's not always the case, but in most areas the rocks are really planted and they'll stay put. So you can get really good traction climbing up them. It's hard to remember exactly what this does. I remember going on a trail on my Beta 500 and it got really steep somewhere, but I don't know if it was this one. I don't think it was. Yeah, there are horses allowed on this trail. I just saw that sign. I like areas where you can tell there's been a lot of runoff and a lot of moisture sticking around. Not only that, but a lot of protection from trees, from the trees hanging over, so you retain a lot of the moisture over the winter time. Those areas get real dense. You can tell the snow hasn't been gone that long. Trails going around this too. I wonder why. Maybe there's just an overlook up there. Anyways, guys, I'm going to stop here in the shade somewhere, get a drink, and I'll catch you on the next section. Peace.